Hello everyone, my name is Jocelyn and welcome to All We Make Is Good. This episode of the Make Everything podcast is going to feature several finished objects, a lot of acquisitions. I'm going to talk a lot about ideas that I have for fall and winter, just more cooler weather garments that I want to try to make, and talking about which skeins that I've acquired that I want to go with those ideas. And I think that might be everything. I think that covers just about everything that I want to talk about today. You might notice that I am recording in a new spot today, so forgive me if when I show things it might be a little bit off center. I'm still trying to get used to this new angle and this new location. Roughly twice a year, I like to rearrange a lot of my living spaces, one being my bedroom and the other being my living room. I spend a lot of time in both of those places, and for some reason, every few months I really like to just change it up. So this time I moved my stash around. I emptied out this bookshelf, used to have my clothes, and I moved those into my closet finally, and I put all of my nice hand-dyed yarns here. This is my nice stash. This doesn't have any of my acrylic yarns. Those are in a different bookshelf now. So this is my new knitting corner. My chair here wasn't getting nearly enough love. This was one of the first big purchases that I got for myself when I got my first office job. And I was making a decent enough living to be able to afford something like this. So I haven't been showing this chair nearly enough love for the last several months, to basically a year, pretty much since I moved into this house, honestly. So almost 2 years now. I haven't really been sitting in this chair or using it at all. So I'm really glad to have this little tiny corner set up. It really is like 4 by 4 feet, so it's a very small knitting corner, but it feels very cozy. I have all my windows right next to me, so now I have some nice lighting, so hopefully lighting won't be an issue anymore. I think I've figured out my camera settings now, so everything should look a lot nicer. Whew. Okay, that was too much of an intro. I'm going to dive right into the finished objects, and one of them I do not have with me, which is the lace dress that I was working on in my last episode. So for that one, I was using this cone of 100% linen. It's currently attached to my whip. So this cone of 100% linen is what I was using for my sister's lace dress, and I did finish it. It actually only took me about 2 weeks to finish that one. I really like how it turned out. I'm going to ask her for some pictures or some clips. I'll try to put them in here somewhere so you can at least see what it looked like before and after it got washed and when she wore it. So hopefully I can show you that. If not, I will try to put it in a later episode when I have that. So unfortunately I don't have that one to show you. But the next item that I ended up working on is actually a present for my friend Hannah, who is getting married in less than a month, I think. I can't remember if it's like 4, maybe it's 3 weeks away. I don't know. It's coming up very quickly, and I still haven't sent it to her because I really wanted to show it to you guys before I shipped it to her. And I designed a wedding cape for her. Originally, it was going to be a full robe with a little hood and little sleeves, and it was supposed to be very whimsical and flowy. It still is kind of whimsical and flowy, but I did end up simplifying the design, and I went with just a cape that ties in the front. I would actually love to show you guys the drawing that I did, I've taken to like really quickly sketching my ideas so they don't run away from me. And this is the drawing. You can ignore this one. But this is the drawing that I did. This is kind of the idea of what I wanted to create for her. And I'll show you what I ended up actually creating. So this is the cape. So we'll start up top here. This is the cable design that I went with. And I tried to make it look like a bouquet of vines, kind of, or like a bouquet of leaves. So it's not a very large cable design. I did design it myself, but I really like how it turned out. It sits very nicely across like the upper back shoulder area. Very nice, like central eye-catching piece on it. It ties very simply in the front, so just like that. So, and it kind of covers the shoulders. I have very broad shoulders, so she has a much more petite frame, so I imagine this will cover her much better. So I'm very happy with this. I kept the same stitch count all the way up the cape, so it's a very straightforward design. And then on the very last row, I cut it down to like a third the number of stitches, so it gathers really nicely. And then I did a nice I-cord bind off, which I kept going into the strings. So I think it looks very seamless there at the top. On the bottom here, I didn't end up doing like a true lace design. What I did do is these columns of daisy stitch, and I think it looks so nice. I ended up loving this stitch so much. Next year I want to use the same yarn and do a full like flowy summer dress for myself just using the daisy stitch because I think it looks so cute. I did the little yarn overs on the outside of this section here on the back to, I don't know, kind of separate it from the stockinette a little bit more. This is the train down here on the bottom. I always underestimate just how much length will be taken off when you wash cotton. It's really not so much the width, but the length really shrinks. So when I knit this, before I put it in the wash, it did trail on the ground like 4 to 6 inches, I want to say. Had like a very nice train on the ground. After I washed it, it kind of dangles like an inch off of the ground. It doesn't even really touch it anymore. And I tried to do my best to like stretch it out without ruining the fabric. And that's how I got it to be like right just a little bit on, like barely touching the floor maybe. So I've only met Hannah once in person, which is a crazy story for another time. So I can't remember how tall she is really. I'm hoping she's shorter than I am. I'm about 5'5", 5'6". I'm hoping she's like just a little bit shorter than me so that it like nicely kind of touches the floor for her. I think that would be a really nice look for her. But regardless of where it ends up hitting the floor with her, I really hope that she loves it. I think it came out really nice. I've been holding off on sending it to her until I could show you guys, so hopefully after this, either later today or tomorrow, I'm gonna go ship this to her and hope that it reaches her in time. I'm not expecting her to wear this on her wedding day at all. I just thought it would be like a nice little wedding gift for her. And I am gonna get them something else off of their registry as well, so something for her husband. There was like a little, it's like a device used for fishing to like locate where the fish are or something, I think. I don't know. There was a little fishing gadget and I thought it was really cool, so I'm gonna do this for Hannah and I'm gonna get that off the registry for her husband. So anyways, that is the wedding cape. I think it came out really, really nice. I'm really happy with it and I can't wait to send it to her. Oh, so that was a big project. It did take me a couple of weeks. um, once it was done, I was kind of lost. I didn't really know what to do after that. So, what does anyone do when they don't know what to work on? I cast on some socks. So, the first pair that I cast on is this pair right here. And this is knit up using it was Barocco socks. I can't remember the color name, but if you go to the link in the description, it leads you to my Ravelry page, which has all of my recent projects, and I am much better about being very descriptive in those projects, so you can see all of the yarn, the needle sizes, even some of the instructions that I used to make these. So this is the first pair of socks that I made. This is a 64 stitch count sock, and I think it's a nice looser fit for like if I want to wear a double layer of socks, so I could wear like one of my store-bought socks and then put these on over it and then put it in my boots for like midwinter when it gets really cold. So I really like that. I was using these socks as a way to experiment with exactly what stitch count works best for my foot, because I do like a very form-fitting sock. I do like very fitted socks. So I think this one was just a touch big. So I'm going to save this for the winter, but I have been wearing them anyways because I love when I knit socks. I love wearing wool socks. Even though it's still super hot out. I have been wearing them around a little bit. I'll wear like a little dress around the house and then I'll put my big socks on. This is the second pair of socks. And this is knit using Pagewood Farms sock yarn. So this is another 75-25. I'm sorry, there's like hair all over them. Sorry. This is another 75-25 yarn. Pagewood Farms is unfortunately no longer in business. I did find that out when I went to go add this yarn to my stash in Ravelry. So the colorway is called Really Red, but I don't know if you would be able to find this yarn again, unfortunately. So I actually do have some rather sad news to share. If you watched my stash reorganization video, which I posted several months ago when I reorganized it into that corner, you'll know that most of my stash, prior to me buying all of these skeins for myself, most of my stash did come from my friend Peggy, and she unfortunately passed away a week ago. And I just attended her funeral on Monday, and I stayed up extra late to finish this pair of socks so that I could bring it with me to her funeral. I was knitting in the pews at the church before the funeral service started, and a couple of people commented and said that she would have really loved that. That I was knitting using her yarn at her service. She was a very creative person. Especially she was part of a quilting guild, and she did a lot of sewing. She made her own wedding dress. She made one of her granddaughter's wedding dresses. She made a lot of things. She was a very creative person. So I wanted to, I guess, show my appreciation for everything that she gave me by making something with the yarn that she gave me. She's the one that taught me how to knit socks. She is the reason why I knit socks 2 at a time. So these are very meaningful to me. Both of these socks are knit with yarn that Peggy gave me. So these are very special socks to me for that reason. So anyways, enough of the sad news. So those were my interim projects in between bigger ones. So I still couldn't really figure out what to do after I knit these socks. So I took the leftovers of the Barocco sock yarn and I started making these mitered squares. And I've never made mitered squares before, but this was really fun. I did hold it double, which I think came out really cool because of the self-striping yarn. So it was marled the entire way through for the most part. There's only like 1 or 2 rows where like the orange caught the orange or the purple and the pink caught the pink or something. So I think these squares look really cool, and I'm going to start a nice long-term project of a scrappy mitered square blanket, because this will be the first blanket that I've ever knit instead of crocheted, because crochet, I feel like you can just whip up blankets really fast, and knitting takes so much more time. So I'm really excited for this. I love having long-term blanket projects. I think that's such a fun thing to work on, and I think it's really cool to see like the different yarns that you go through like throughout your life or throughout the years, and see how your taste changes and stuff like that. So I think that's a fun project, and I'm especially excited to try like putting them in opposite directions like this and see how that looks, alternating them throughout the blanket. So I'm really excited for this project. The only reason that I didn't do a mitered square in the leftover of the red, is because I'm hoping to find somewhere to use this red as like a nice accent color, because I think this would be a gorgeous accent color in a garment. So I'm saving the leftovers from these socks to see if I can use them somewhere else before I put them into a mitered square. These squares are held double. I think I already said that, on a US 5 needle, and it uses approximately 15 grams of yarn. So what did I do after that? Ooh, that was a fruit fly right on my hand. Oh, myrtle. So after I did my socks, after I did my mitered squares, I still couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, so I made Myrtle a new sweater. Because even after I made the socks, the mitered squares, I still had a ton of, not a ton, but I still had a little bit of scrap yarn left over from the Barocco socks. So Myrtle got a new sweater. I think she looks so cute. The back. I am so excited to start knitting Myrtle so many little sweaters and things. I think I'm gonna have to start doing like teeny cardigans instead, because it is very difficult to get it over her head. I made her head rather large, just like me. She's kind of meant to be like me in centaur form. I've always wanted a stuffed centaur, and I could never find one as a child, so I just made one. And I'm thinking about making her a little companion friend, which would be, is it a satyr? I believe it's a satyr. The one with the bottom half is a goat. So I'm really excited to make a companion for her. So then maybe the goat could wear like little pants. Because I don't think I could make pants for her. I think it would be more of, because the way that I envision it is it would be like a pantsuit, where I would have to make the sweater, and then it would come down her back, and it would slip on her back legs, and then her front ones would be free, I guess. Or maybe I would knit down the front and do front legs as well, but then like the whole bottom would be open. I have no idea how that would work, but I don't think I could just knit like little pants, you know? So I'm very excited to try out knitting techniques and make other little sweaters and cardigans and garments for her. Her wardrobe is steadily growing. She, last winter, was wearing this miniature of my cowl neck sweater. So this is a DK and worsted weight yarns mixed together, which I didn't realize when I was knitting the project. I thought it was all DK weight, and it ended up being half worsted. So that was her miniature sweater, and the cowl neck was super easy to get over her head. But yes, this is also my first time knitting a sweater, regardless of how big or small, in fingering weight yarn, and I thought it was really fun. It was super cute. So that was a little single afternoon project that I really enjoyed. And then after that, I really wanted to sit down and figure out what I wanted to make myself to complete the trio of linen dresses that I was going to make for myself, my sister, and my sister-in-law. So both of them have their dresses, and now it was time for me to figure out what I wanted to do for mine. And what I ended up settling on was I did not want the lace like they had. I really wanted to fit into that trend and do a lace dress for myself, but I had so much trouble finding a design that I wanted to wear. I actually really liked the lace pattern that I used for M&M, my sister-in-law's dress, but I didn't want to reuse that for mine, and then my sister would be the only one that didn't have a matching lace design. So what I ended up doing, which I think I'm really, really gonna like, is I went with this idea. And ignore this for until later. So it's not much of a sketch, but basically I wanted two parallelograms, two very large parallelograms, and I wanted it to be all basket weave stitch because I've always wanted a basket weave garment. I think it looks so cute. I just love that stitch pattern. But I did want some element of lace, so I found a basket weave pattern, or a basket weave stitch pattern, I should say. Oh, now my yarn's all tangled. Excuse me. I found a basket weave stitch pattern that has little yarn overs in it. So I think that fits me much better than a full lace dress. So I really, really love this. So I'm gonna do the two parallelograms all the way up until it's like roughly the size of what I want it to be. And then I still have a lot of thinking to do on how I want to manage straps, or really how I want to manage full coverage, because if you think about it, the top part of the parallelogram is going to be like this. And so that leaves one boob fully exposed. So I need to figure out what I want to do, because this will be the same on the back. How do I want to take this and turn it into a full coverage? And I'm thinking, if I have enough of this blue linen yarn, if I have enough of this left, I will just do a stockinette triangle and join it to the parallelogram to create that full coverage, and I'll do that on the back as well. If I don't have enough of this color yarn left at the end, I will go for, I have another cone of this, which I couldn't find earlier. Oh, and now I see it. This one. So I would take this color and do the little stockinette triangle in the front. I think that would look kind of nice. I'm not too sure. Again, that's something that I still need to think through. So that is my current work in progress. Well, this in my scrappy blanket. But I am very excited for this. This is just, I cast this on yesterday, and I'm increasing up to 84 stitches before I start the other piece, and then I'll join in the round, knit the body a little bit until I split again for sleeves and finish off, and so on and so forth. So I'm very excited for this project. I have no idea how it's going to look in the end, which is very exciting for me. I love doing projects like that where I really don't know what it's going to look like until I'm done with it. Okay, so I have a lot of acquisitions since my last episode. If you follow Miss Babs on any of her social media, or you get her newsletter to your email, you'll know that she discontinued her Yummy 3-ply base, which is a sport weight, 100% wool yarn, merino wool, I believe. Yeah. So she discontinued that base and put all of the skeins on sale, 20% off. So I did get quite a few of those skeins, as well as some other 75-25 sock yarn. So let me pull those out. Give me just a second. Okay. Sorry, I noticed that the camera was skipping a little bit. Every like 20-ish minutes it tends to overheat just a little bit, so I'm hoping that that's taken care of now. I gave it a little bit of time to cool down. So I'm going to start with the 75-25 sock yarn that I have, and what I want to do is, as I go through the yarns that I've acquired in the last month. I will also talk about the design that I have sketched out that I want to use each of these yarns for, if I have a plan for it. So I'm going to start with, I'm just going to go in the order that I acquired them in. So this is a one-of-a-kind colorway from Barnyard Knits. I think this is so gorgeous. There's like a billion different colored speckles in this. I think this is such a pretty skein. I actually have 4 of these. She listed 6 and I almost bought all 6, but then I was like, I probably don't need 6 of them for a garment, but especially if I pair it with something else. So I am absolutely in love with these skeins. So I have 4 of them and I want to use them in this design right here. And I want to do a very textured color block kind of dress. The theme of the fall is dresses, wool dresses. Fall and winter is all gonna be dresses. So I want to do this design and I want it to be the main color in the center, and I'll do a lovely contrast on the borders and things like that. So I'm very excited for that design. In the same order, I also got this one-of-a-kind, which isn't my usual colors, but I saw it and I fell in love with it, and I knew that I would find somewhere to put it into a garment and just absolutely love it. I feel like this is one of those skeins that you put in for something unexpected and it just elevates the whole thing. So, love that one. And then I got 2 skeins from Mountaintop Yarn, and this is the first one, and this is much more my colors. Look at these gorgeous jewel tones. I am so excited to work with this skein. This one is called Sweater Weather, and this is the first skein that I've ever bought from Mountaintop Yarn, and what I didn't know was she includes these little minis. Oh, I thought I saw a piece of something on it. She includes these little complimentary minis, and I just love that. I'm not really a person to do contrast like heels, toes, and cuffs and things like that, so I will find somewhere else to use these minis, but I thought that was so cute that she just gives you a little mini. I don't think it said it anywhere in the listing that she was going to give a complimentary mini, so unless I just missed it, but it was a very pleasant surprise. So I was so happy with that I went back and I bought a second skein, and this one is called Olive Branch. I think these colors are so pretty. I don't actually know what I would make with this, and I don't really think it goes that well with any of the other colors in my stash right now, although I haven't really tried to pair this with anything. I'll just show you the mini that goes with it. It's a nice lovely dark brown. So I don't know, maybe I will just make socks with this and I'll use this as the contrast. Who knows? I'll just be different for one skein. Grab that fallen skein there. So yeah, that was the second one that I got from Mountaintop Yarn, and she's putting out a whole bunch of fall colorways right now, but I'm trying to slow down my yarn purchasing for a little while because I have so many and I have a lot of ideas. So I don't have any plans for those last 3 skeins or these next 2 at all. I'm really focusing on some of the other skeins in my stash, but we'll get there. This is the next one, and this one is from Hickory Lane Fiber Co. And this one doesn't have a color name, it just has numbers. So last I checked, she did have one more skein on her website, but I love these colors together. There's so many colors in one skein. They all go so well together. I love the heavy speckling. It's just a beautiful skein all around. So I'm trying to make sure that the camera's not skipping again. This one is a new skein, a new colorway that was announced, and this one's from Bad Sheep Yarn, and this is Calico Prairie. And again, gorgeous, gorgeous colors. So many colors in the same skein. I love the speckling. I have a yarn type and I go for it every time. So I love these skeins. All right, let me put these away and I will grab all of the yummy 3-ply skeins that I picked up. I have in my lap 11 skeins of yummy 3-ply. And I'm gonna go through them by groups of what kind of a project I want to do with them. So first I will show you, let's see, this sketch, this one right here. Ooh. So I want a fitted fade dress with a little starburst pattern on the top. And I'm going to do that with turmeric being the starburst, fading into golden anniversary, into ash violet, and finally into apple season. So that's the first set. Won't put them away yet. I'll wait until the end. Okay. The next one I am the most excited about. So the idea is this one here. It's another fade set, and I want the sleeves and the turtleneck to be a golden color. I'm really into gold on the top for some reason. And I found the most beautiful color to do that. So the top is going to be squash blossom, and I don't think I've ever seen a more beautiful yellow orange. This is everything that I've ever dreamed of. So we're going to start with squash blossom, and then we're going to move into this one, which is stir it up. I gotta figure out how to hold these. Stir it up, followed by germaine, followed by outstanding, and then finally livid. And this is not actually black. If I can get the lighting just right, you can see it's actually like the darkest burgundy purpley red. And I love it. I love it so much. And the only reason I didn't cast it on immediately is because I still can't mentally figure out how I want the fade to work and how I want to kind of blend and mix the colors together. So I haven't figured that out quite yet, so that's why I haven't cast it on, but this is going to be an absolute 100% definite cast on this year. Very excited. So that's those. All right. And then I have this skein here, which is Lost Treasure. And I don't really have any plans for it because it's the only one that doesn't really go with like anything that I have or bought. My only potential idea is to use this in combination with these two skeins to create some kind of a top. And what I'm thinking is I will do this with, all right, and bear with me because this isn't much of a sketch. This one right here. I want to do kind of like, you know how people have like those white lattice fences that they put around like the bottom of their deck so the dogs don't go under it or something? That's kind of, I want to do that but in color work. So that's the only sort of idea that I have for this skein, is to combine it with these two, which I've had in stash forever. So that's one idea. All right, and this last skein, I'm also struggling to figure out what to do with it, but this is called Calby, and I think it comes off a lot more blue on camera and online than it actually is in person. I think I was hoping that this was going to be very blue, and it's actually, it's pretty much just gray. There's a lot of depth in this gray, don't get me wrong. Like, I can see a lot of greenish blues and a lot of purples, but it's pretty much just gray, unless you look at it up close. So I was slightly disappointed when I got it, but I do like how neutral it is, and I like that I can probably pair this with just about anything. So my idea for this, which I actually became really excited about when I was going through my stash and trying to figure out ideas for all these skeins that I bought, is I will pair it with these two skeins, which I picked up at the New England Fiber Festival last year. So these are also sport weight 100% wool. And I want to do, let me find it, this design here. And I've had this idea in my head for quite a while, and I'm really, really fascinated by the idea that I could make a garment that looks like a building, like a plain stone building. So the background would be a plain stone color. I'm sorry, there's so much hair all over here. A plain stone color, and all of the windows would be these gorgeous jewel tones popping through. And I am so intrigued by that idea. I would love to do it with these, but I almost want more of like a brownish brick color and then have the windows be these. But I'm not like terribly opposed to this color combination. I think that this would also be a gorgeous garment. I don't actually know how big of a garment I can make with just 3 skeins of sport weight yarn, especially where some of these are not like 100 grams. So this is significantly more than this. So this is only 3 ounces, and this is 5.1 ounces or 150 grams. So I don't even think that this is 100 grams. So I'm thinking that this will probably end up being a vest, which I have never worn a vest before, and I don't know if I would wear a vest. So we'll see, but that's the general idea for that skein right now. Okay, let me put these away and I will go through the rest of the ideas in there that I haven't talked about yet. Okay, I'm going to be facing more towards my stash here so that I can just easily pull them in and out. So I do want to just go through a couple of these other designs and show you guys what my intentions are. So this one, you might have seen a little earlier. This is a dress, a nice fitted dress that I wanted to make, and all of those lines are going to be like textured lines throughout the bust and the hips and maybe across the arms. I wasn't sure about the arms, but my idea for this is I wanted to do it 2 different ways, and I wasn't sure which one I wanted to do. So one of them would be just purl bumps, make it nice and easy, and just use the same yarn and just do purl bumps to make a nice texture. But I didn't think it would stand out enough. So what I'm thinking instead is I'll do a lovely variegated base, and then I will use this skein of slub yarn and double it in just those areas. So it'll be a DK weight purl bump with slub yarn. It'll just be very, very textured in those areas. And I'm heavily leaning towards that option because I think that would look really, really cool. I think it would give it a lot of interest to just have that in those few areas. This is the colorway Pheasant on the slub base from Barnyard Knits. So that's my idea for that one. I have, let me see, I have this idea here, and I don't have the yarn for it yet. I have something that I could use, but I'm not even going to bother showing it because I don't think that I will. So really I'm thinking about making a less fitted dress, more flowy, a wool dress, and I'm really feeling like lodge vibes. So I want this to be very browns and grays and look like stone kind of, with a nice contrasting color of this bear paw motif in the center of the chest. So I really am a fan of that idea. This next one, again, I don't have colors picked out, but for some reason I wanted like a cropped t-shirt, and I wanted to do 2 stripes, or like a double thickness of a variegated stripe and then a single thickness of a solid stripe, because I saw something like that on Instagram and it was really like eye-catching to me, and I really loved the way that it was like a broken up fade kind of a thing. I don't know, I really, really like that idea. So at some point I'll make that, but I don't even know if I would wear like a cropped t-shirt made out of wool in the winter. I don't know what I would wear that with unless I just wore it over like some other dress or something. Okay, this one is a probably never gonna happen design, but I still want to talk about it. So my idea for this is I'm going to use this gorgeous cone of this is American red or cardinal red or something, American red. This is 100% cotton. This is an 8-2 weaving cotton, so it's very, very fine. I'd probably have to knit this on like a US 2, yeah, probably a US 2 needle. And I want to do a very fitted top with tiered like lace ruffles all the way down. I imagine it will be very heavy. I imagine it will take me like the entire summer to knit, or even just an entire summer to design and figure out exactly what kind of lace I want to do, and so on and so forth. So this is a dream that I don't anticipate will ever really come to fruition, but who knows? Maybe next year I will suddenly have the motivation to do something as outlandish as that. So there's that idea. Talked about those. This is one more idea that I wanted to do. And I want to do different colored stripes with different colored triangles all throughout. And I want to use, if you remember, I made a whole lot of hats last winter, and I did actually write up a whole pattern. Actually, I never wrote it up, but I meant to. But I was going to release a hat pattern, and I used many different colors of these skeins of 100% wool. This is very thick. This is non-superwash wool. I believe it's a 3-ply, and I think it's probably like a worsted or an Aran weight. So what I want to do is, I don't know if you can see, I have a lot of colors in the corner here. You probably can't, there's a bag in the way, but I have a lot of different colors of this, and last year I wanted to do like a 5-color color work coat or something, and I've gotten rid of that idea entirely. But I do still want to use this to make like an outerwear coat, and I would love to do those stripes and triangles design, and I think that would just be a really fun design to do. So that's the plan for this, and I do anticipate that I will be making this. These are from Peter Patches again, so this is like a no-name manufactured somewhere in the US yarn, and this is $2 for the skein. So it's super, super affordable. I can't say enough good things about Peter Patches. I really can't. Okay, so the next one. Okay, this is the last one I'll talk about. So this one right here is an idea that I had to have two solid colors being the main focus, and then all of the little squares peeking out from what looks like interwoven colors would be variegated, so, or faded or something like that. So my idea is to have these two be the solid colors, and this is again from my inherited stash from Peggy, as well as this one here. And I think that would be really fun to have this be the main colors and have this kind of contrast be peeking out through the little squares in between. I think that would be really nice. So I think I could get a nice blouse out of it. Yeah, I think that would just be a really fun little blouse. So I really, really want this winter and this fall to be focused on fingering weight projects, because I've never done like a full size garment in fingering weight, like these lovely skeins here. I mean, I've done it with the linen, and it didn't take me too long, but I was using much larger needles and like accounting for shrinkage, and it was just a little different. So I'm really, really excited to start making fingering weight projects, full garments that I can wear, because last year I did make my cowl neck sweater, and I made a couple of other sweaters, but they were all much thicker yarn, and I really love those. But the one that I made, the cowl neck sweater specifically, was DK and worsted weight, and it was too warm in the end. So I loved it, and I wore it so much, and I anticipate that I will continue wearing it a lot on the especially cold days. But I do want some fingering weight, because I still want that wool, and I want that coziness and that comfort, but I don't want to be overheating in the winter. So yeah, super excited for this. Okay, that is finally the end of everything that I have to share with you today. Please let me know like which parts of these podcasts are your favorite, so maybe I can spend more time focusing on those. I really like talking about my ideas and the skeins that I want to use for them. I feel like I talk more about those more so than my actual projects that I'm working on or the ones that I've finished. So please let me know which parts of like this whole knitting journey that you actually really want to hear about and go more in depth to, and I will try to focus more on those in the future. But for me, I just love talking about the ideas for the future and the skeins that will go with it. I feel like I have a lot more to talk about when it's an idea than I do when it's in practice. So thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will hope to see you next month in the next episode. Bye.